Today, we're going to dive into something really fascinating from Islamic tradition. We're going to explore how a very simple rule about water can actually teach us a profound lesson about how we handle the challenges life throws at us. Let's get into it. And I know it might sound a little out there, but honestly, the answer is a powerful yes. We're about to unpack how a principle that's centuries old can give us a totally fresh way of looking at how to build our own inner strength. All right, so first things first, let's lay down the foundation. We're pulling from a field of Islamic scholarship called Fiqh, which is all about the practical, nitty-gritty details of living a life of faith. Okay, so the conversation really centers on this specific kind of water known as al-ma al-mutlaq. Just think of it as natural, pure water, like rain or water from a spring. It's the kind of water you'd use for ritual washing before prayer. And this is where things start to get really interesting. You see, Islamic scholars split this pure water into two categories. On one side, you have little water. Now, if even the tiniest speck of an impurity touches this water, the whole thing is considered impure. It doesn't matter if you can't see a change, it's just impure. End of story. But then, on the other side, you've got abundant water. This water has some resilience. An impurity can fall into it, but it only becomes impure if that contaminant is so strong that it actually changes the water's basic qualities, its color, its taste, or its smell. And this whole difference hinges on one specific threshold. So what's the magic number? What's the tipping point? It's a measurement called 2 kilos, which is about 190 liters. So we're not talking about a glass versus a pitcher here. It's more like the difference between a small bucket and, say, a large water tank, or even a small pool. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it means that a small bucket of water has to be guarded really carefully, right? Because it's so fragile, so easily compromised. But a big tank, it can handle a little contamination and still maintain its purity. This really teaches a lesson in being mindful and being aware, especially when you're dealing with things that are vulnerable. Okay, so that's the rule on the surface. Clear, straightforward. But like so many principles in Islamic tradition, it's not just about the physical rule, it's pointing towards something much, much deeper, a metaphorical meaning. And this is where we get to the heart of it all. This is the big pivot. Let's take this exact same principle, but instead of applying it to water, let's apply it to ourselves. What if the water represents your heart, your spirit, your mind? So let's just recap that physical rule for a second. We have a small amount of water. A small impurity hits it, and the result? The water is immediately corrupted. It has zero capacity to absorb that disruption. Now, let's take that exact same formula and apply it to us, to our inner world. A spirit that's lacking in depth, or patience, or knowledge, what we're calling a small heart, it can be completely thrown off balance by just a minor problem. A harsh word from someone, a small setback at work, and boom, the disturbance just takes over everything. You can almost picture it, can't you? The little water heart. It's just so fragile. It gets shaken by the smallest things. But the abundant water heart? Now that is a heart that has been intentionally filled up. Filled with knowledge, with faith, with patience, with self-discipline. It has this vast capacity. So when challenges show up, they just dissolve into that abundance without changing its core nature. The heart stays steady. It stays pure. So how do we take this amazing metaphor and zoom out? Where does it fit into the bigger picture? Well, it connects directly to a core concept in the faith, this idea of holistic purity. It all ties back to this incredibly powerful saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who said that cleanliness is half of the religion. And believe me, this isn't just about washing your hands. And cleanliness here is a two-part deal. Of course, there's the outer cleanliness we all think about. Using clean water, wearing clean clothes, having a clean space for prayer. But just as important, maybe even more so, is the inner cleanliness. We're talking about having pure intentions, cultivating positive thoughts, and using clean, kind speech. You see, the real goal is to get those two in sync. When your external world and your internal world are both in a state of purity and order, the result is this incredible sense of peace, of lightness. That inner abundant water is what makes you resilient to all the impurities the world throws at you. When you think about it, what we've just walked through is a perfect roadmap for personal growth. It starts simple. You learn a clear rule. Then you take time to reflect on its deeper wisdom. And finally, you let that wisdom actually guide your actions, helping you build that inner abundance day by day. And that really brings us to the final big question we have to ask ourselves. Our goal is to cultivate a heart that's like abundant water, deep, resilient, and unshakable. So the most important question for every single one of us is this: what are we filling it with? What knowledge, what practices, what relationships are expanding our capacity to absorb life's challenges without losing our own peace?